What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my main event breakdown and prediction for UFC Vegas 82. We got Brendan Allen going against Paul Craig.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another main event breakdown and prediction. This week, we are breaking down the main event for UFC Vegas 82. We have a 14-fight card. And yeah, really good main event. Brendan Allen, Paul Craig, 5-round fight. Two guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing going at it, especially Paul Craig. I mean, Paul Craig fights are always fun. They're always entertaining. Typically, those fights end in a finish. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to breaking it down. Before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Be on the look for the full card breakdown prediction video. Should be out on Thursday. The UFC added like 2 fights last minute, so have to research those, get all the graphics ready, and get all the stats ready and all that. So that'll be out hopefully on Thursday for the full card breakdown. Sorry, a little bit late, but it'll be out Thursday nonetheless. So be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, there'll be more content coming throughout the week. But yeah, back to this fight. Paul Craig, Brendan Allen. Really looking forward to seeing Paul Craig back down at middleweight for his second fight in a row. His debut at middleweight went really well with a second-round finish against Andre Muniz. So yeah, should be a really fun fight here. All right, so we'll get into it here. We'll start with the Brendan Allen side. Brendan Allen's still very young, only 27 years old. He's 6'2" with a 75-inch reach, 22-5, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Brendan Allen's been on a really good run here. Brendan Allen looks like he has won his last 6 fights, and 5 of those 6 coming inside the distance. As far as Paul Craig, he's 35 years old, 6'3" with a 76-inch reach, 17-6-1. In 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Like I said, made his debut at middleweight. The cut looked like it went good. Looked to be in the best shape of his life, and went out there and had probably one of the best performances of his life. Just dominated Andre Muniz and finished him via vicious TKO late in the second round there. So great performance for Paul Craig there. We'll take a look at the odds, and I'll be honest, I mean, these odds kind of surprised me a little bit. Brendan Allen opened up minus 350. He's currently minus 450. And then Paul Craig opened up plus 285. He's currently plus 350. So the thing with Paul Craig is in pretty much every single fight, Paul Craig is the underdog. I mean, Paul Craig's been in the UFC for a while now, has a handful of fights. I think there's maybe one time in the UFC where he's been a favorite, and I think it was a slight favorite against like Vinicius Moreira, that guy. Other than that, I mean, this guy's the dog more often than not. And he might have been a favorite against Shogun in their second fight. But either way, I mean, this guy is an underdog more often than not. He's always counted out, and he wins a lot. I mean, he's been the underdog, and he's cashed as an underdog plenty of times. So he's somebody that you never, ever want to count out. And then Brendan Allen's a guy that I think he's a really good fighter. I mean, this guy's fought great competition inside and outside the UFC. You take a look at some of the guys, Brendan Allen's fought before the UFC, and he's fought really good guys. I think he fought like guys like Fluffy Hernandez, Trevin Giles outside the UFC. He's fought some very, very good competition outside the UFC, and then comes into the UFC and has had a lot of success. I mean, I think this guy's maybe 10-2 in the UFC, so he's had a very, very good career inside the UFC and outside the UFC as well. And he's young. He's only 27 years old. I still think he's getting better. His base is a grappler, a BJJ black belt, but, his striking looks really good. I remember the fight with Punahele Soriano, and, the game plan I thought for Brendan Allen would be to go out there and, out-grapple this guy. But no, he went out there and outstruck Punahele Soriano across 3 rounds. And, yeah, his striking's looking much better than ever. I mean, this guy's striking has just completely leveled up, but yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing if Brendan Allen can go out there and fight a smart game plan, and if he doesn't, which I think it's likely he doesn't, can he still go out there and not make enough mistakes? Because if you make a mistake against Paul Craig, I mean, the fight could be over. But Brendan Allen's a guy that he always does like the opposite of what you want him to do. Like when you want him to go out there and strike, he's going to grapple. When you want him to go out there and grapple, he's going to strike. Like I remember the Sean Strickland fight. You would think the game plan would be to get the fight down to the mat. He attempted maybe one takedown in that fight and got knocked out. Same thing with Chris Curtis. You would think the game plan would be to get the fight down to the mat. I think he shot, again, maybe one takedown and got knocked out. So this is a fight where if you're Brendan Allen, I mean, what's the game plan here? The game plan probably should be don't go into Paul Craig's guard. And I have a very strong feeling that Brendan Allen is going to go into Paul Craig's guard, which is scary when we're talking about laying this price tag. I do think Brendan Allen's a very good grappler. I think he can hang with Craig on the mat for sure. It's just, that's typically Paul Craig's one path to victory is something off his back, a triangle, an armbar, something off his back. He has a very, very dangerous guard. So if you're Brendan Allen, I mean, the game plan should be to keep this on the feet, because on the feet, the striking's not even close. Brendan Allen's leveled up his striking, and although I think Paul Craig's made some improvements in the striking, I think Brendan Allen is the much, much, much better striker. So in most Paul Craig fights, I think Paul Craig's path to victory is catching a submission off his back, and I think it's going to be easier said than done against a guy like Brendan Allen. You take a look at some of the guys that Paul Craig is going out there and submitting. Jamal Hill, which that was technically like a TKO, but it was a sub. Gadzer Murad Antagulov, which that guy's like 2 minutes of gas. Vinicius Moreira, I think he's actually a black belt, but just terrible. Kennedy Nzechukwu, Magomedov Ankalaev, and then Henrique da Silva. And then he also submitted Nikita Krylov, which I think Krylov's a black belt as well. So it could happen. I mean, you can never count out Paul Craig, but like I say in pretty much every Paul Craig fight, this is a terrible matchup for him, but a lot of times it doesn't really matter. I mean, Paul Craig always seems to find a way. So I think Paul Craig's a very live dog. I think Paul Craig's a live dog against anybody, just because this guy is so good at one thing. And like I said, Brendan Allen does not have the best fight IQ. He doesn't have the best game planning, and have a strong feeling that Brendan Allen is going to oblige in the ground game against Paul Craig, which, like I said, he should be fine, but terrifying nonetheless. So in terms of a pick, I can't pick Paul Craig here. I really can't. I think it's a great fight for Brendan Allen. I think it's a fight that Brendan Allen should go out there and not only win, but dominate, win this fight inside the distance, and make it look easy. It's just I feel like Brendan Allen's going to make this a lot harder on himself than he really needs to. I think the game plan for Brendan Allen should be stuffing the takedowns, keeping this on the feet, and on the feet I don't think it's close, and I think Brendan Allen has power. I think Brendan Allen hurts Paul Craig on the feet at some point, and then follows him down on the mat and subs him shortly after. I see a club and sub victory for Brendan Allen, and I think it's probably early as well, maybe first round, second round for Brendan Allen. I think a club and sub's very much in play. In terms of betting on this fight, I'm not sure if I want to get involved in this. Obviously, violence is something that sticks out, but I think they're kind of all over it. Like the over-under set at 1.5 rounds. The over 1.5 is a -115. The under 1.5 is -115. I would kind of lean under, but then again, I could see Brendan Allen kind of staying safe, keeping it on the feet, and this going over. So I don't really like the total here. And then I guess you got to pick between Allen KO or Allen sub, and looks like they're giving Allen KO at +125 and Allen sub +225. I don't know. I mean, I think it can go either way. I feel like he could either knock out Paul Craig on the feet. I feel like he could drop Paul Craig and then submit him. A lot of Brendan Allen's wins are by submission. He only has one KO in the UFC, and that was against Tom Breeze way back in the day. Other than that, subbed Holland, subbed Jeffrey, subbed Carl Roberson, subbed Sam Alvey, subbed Jocko, who's a black belt, Muniz, who's a black belt, Bruno Silva, who's actually a black belt. So yeah, Brendan Allen more subs than the knockouts. 7 subs, 1 knockout. So I think I might take a shot on that Allen submission just because it is kind of wide, +225. But like I said, it could also be a knockout as well. Fight ends by submission is kind of interesting, which is +140 on Bet Rivers. The fight ends by knockouts +102. So I think it would take a look at something like that, but it's not something I'm really running to the window for. The fight doesn't go to decisions, -750. Which rightfully so. If this fight went the distance, I'd be fairly shocked. So I don't know if I'm betting on this fight yet. I'm sure I'll find something. But the pick is going to be Brendan Allen. I'll say first round, club and sub. I think he gets Paul Craig out of there. But Paul Craig's super dangerous, and I think he's super live as well. But give me Brendan Allen, first round sub. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be on the lookout for the full card breakdown and prediction video on Thursday. And yeah, looking forward to this card. 14 fights. Best of luck, guys, and we'll talk to you very soon. See you later.